Aha, do you see yourself amongst this group of people? Well, not exactly because you are not AI generated, unlike this image, but this can definitely be a reality for you. If you are an Indian watching this video and you wish to go abroad to study, acing the IELTS test is really not that hard. Stick with me, and I am going to give you a list of things that you should not do or not worry about. You heard that right? I'm going to give you a not to do list because if I give you a to do list, the session is going to go on for 10 hours and it'll be very overwhelming for you. So I'll tell you what you shouldn't do so that life becomes a little easier for you. My name is Asmita, your IELTS mentor here at Vedantu. And before we get started, do not forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any updates. You get a vast amount of information on this channel, all to make this time of your life a lot easier. We know how overbearing it can be, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow us on Telegram, and let's get started. Now, the first thing you're going to tell me is, hey, you know what? You're going to tell me a bunch of things to do, but all of those things either cost a lot of money or take a lot of time. And the thing is, I have neither. I don't have a lot of money to spend because I'm already spending a huge amount just going abroad. And I don't have a lot of time. I have 1,000 things to take care of. Well, let me tell you, you do not need a lot of money. You do not need a lot of time. You just need a little bit of self-reflection, the right guidance, and a little bit of discipline. All right? So let's start with the self-reflection part because that essentially becomes the most important. Now, you see, the thing is there are two things that kind of lead to somebody's downfall in anything in life, not just the IELTS. One is this end of the spectrum, which is fear. The other is this end of the spectrum, which is overconfidence. So you really need to close your eyes for a second and figure out, where do you lie? Where are you currently? Are you too scared to speak English? Do you think it's fear that's going to get the best of you? Or do you think, you know what, I know absolutely everything. There's nothing that I need to take a look at. I'll just maybe study one day before the test and I'm going to ace the test. Wherever you lie, doesn't matter. The point is, after you figured that out, you need to get here. All right. And this is where you strike that balance. Do you need to prepare for a test that's simply testing your communication? The answer is yes, because it is a very specific test. And the fact of the matter is, you don't belong to an English speaking country. So there are some things that you need to learn. There is some effort that is going to go into this. Regardless of how good you think your English is, you still have to prepare before the test. So you cannot be overconfident. And if you're scared, well, that's the battle lost right there. The only step for you is to get rid of that fear. There's no a different way of doing this. You can't be fearful and ace the test at the same time. That's simply not possible. We're going to work on both things, don't worry, and stay tuned because we're going to start academic sessions very, very soon. But right now, you need to do this bit of self-reflection. Be very honest with yourself. You don't have to go around telling everybody what you are, but you need to be honest with yourself. And once you figure that out, we're going to start working from there, right? So now coming to the list of things that you should not be doing or should not be too worried about. Number one, accent. Now, you might be going to New Zealand, Australia, you might be going to the UK, you might be going to America or Canada. Now, these places have really different accents, right? So your first concern would be, okay, do I need to adopt the accent of the country that I'm planning to go to? The answer is no. You do not need to change your accent. Indian English accent is a valid accent that's accepted everywhere. The only thing you need to take care of is making sure that you're understood properly, right? So there's something we call mother tongue influence. And a lot of us have mother tongue influence in our English. So whatever your regional language is, you tend to take some ways of pronouncing things from your regional language, and that kind of seeps into your English and you end up pronouncing words incorrectly. You need to check yourself wherever you think mother tongue influence is seeping in, making its way in. And let me tell you how you can do that. Now see, you don't have to start practicing a different accent altogether. That's wild. Don't do that. But let's fake our accents a little bit to understand this through an example. Okay, don't make fun of me because I'm going to give you an American, I'm going to give you a British. My accent is the Indian English accent, right? So don't make fun of me, but let's do this. Now, pay attention to how I'm saying this. The first one is in Indian English pronunciation, and we're just going to phonetically follow whatever's given here, okay? It says water, water, water. That's how we ask for water, right? Now, if I were British, I would say water, water, right? And if I were American, I would say water, water. But in each of these, what I want you to pay attention to is the fact that it was the wa part that was stressed. Regardless of my accent, my stressed syllable was always the first syllable. Water, water, water. It was always the first syllable, right? So this is where syllable stress comes into play. Regardless of your accent, most English words follow the same pattern of syllable stress. You just need to learn which syllable to stress in order to pronounce a word correctly. And if you're doing that, regardless of your accent, people are going to understand what you're saying, right? Let's take a look at this with a word that's commonly mispronounced in India because of the syllable stress issue. The word is, well, let's say it in all three accents again. Indian accent, psychology, psychology. British accent, psychology, psychology. American accent, psychology, psychology. Okay, it's really bad accents, I know, sorry. But see, the thing is, in each of these, what we stress is the second syllable, ka, ka. And how is it mispronounced in India? Psychology, psychology. What are we doing? We are stressing on the last syllable, in fact, the last two syllables, logy, psychology, psychology, right? That's incorrect. How do we say this word? Psychology, 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 right? Regardless of the accent, the stress is on the second syllable. Now, this applies to most words. There are obviously exceptions everywhere, right? So you might have words that change syllable stress with accents. For example, advertisement, advertisement, right? But those are like some 50 odd words. This can generally apply to most words in the English language, right? So we're not going to focus on the accent. What are we going to focus on? We're going to focus on syllable stress, all right? Now let's take a look at the next mistake we need to avoid, spelling mistakes, right? Takes away a lot of points in your writing section. So you need to be careful with these. What you need to do is when you start taking mock tests, you need to figure out what kind of spelling mistakes do you regularly make and then put them into buckets. So you can make a pattern in your head and then you can avoid those mistakes. For example, the double trouble bucket that I've made for you. A very common spelling error where we have two sets of double letters in a word and we tend to miss out on one of them. Okay? For example, here we have accommodation, which needs a double C and a double M. But here we just have one M, so let's fix that. Same thing with embarrass, double R. Occurred also needs a double R. And the opposite of that, tomorrow does not need a double M. So we can get rid of this M right here, right? So you need to be wary of both things, where you need double letters and where you don't need double letters, okay? The second kind of mistake, silent killers. Why do we have silent letters in English? Just to make our lives harder? Probably, but we can't do anything about it. So let's figure out how not to make this mistake. Now here we have the word government where the N is silent, but if you pay attention to the American accent, they do slightly pronounce that N sound. Government, environment, right? So you have the little nasal there in the middle somewhere, but in the British and the Indian accent, we just say government or environment. So just because we say it that way, don't miss out on that N in the spelling. Here with environment, we're missing two letters. Let me just, don't think there's a double R there. Okay, so we have O-N. And because of this spelling, a lot of us end up saying environment. Environment is the wrong pronunciation. How do we say this word? Environment. Environment. Okay? Subtle. Why does subtle have a B? Nobody knows. And again, the flip side where we know about the silent letter, and because we know it's there, we end up pronouncing it. Okay? There is no burr in plumber. 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 It's not plumber, it's plumber. Plumber, right? So we know there's a silent letter there, and that's why we emphasize it when we say it. Make sure you don't do that. Okay? Now the next is the letter litter, where we're not sure which letter to use and end up using the wrong letter in our spelling. Definitely, I think easily one of the most misspelt words in India. Does not have an A here. What do we need? Definitely. Definitely. Calendar, no E. 1 second. But A. Argument. Now, this is interesting. Pay attention. We have the word argue, which is a verb. We change it to its noun form. It becomes argument. We drop that E. That E goes away. Okay? And this happens with a few other words. You need to give me an example of a word where we drop a letter when we go from its verb form to its noun form. Tell me in the comments. Okay? All right, so let's fix this real quick. Argument. And now the last very common error. You might have heard the whole I before E except after C. If you memorize this, if you take it to heart, you're going to mess up a lot of spellings because it certainly doesn't apply to all the words. But it's a good trick for words like receive, deceive, friend. Okay, so friend, I before E. But what is the next rule? Except after C. So here receive has a C, so we can't have IE. We need to change it to EI. Okay? All right, that's for the spelling mistakes. Now let's move on to grammar mistakes. Grammar is 25% of your speaking score. So it is extremely important, and I'm going to give you a very India-specific list of grammatical mistakes that we tend to make while speaking. You know, we have a very diverse country, diverse cultures, diverse religions, diverse cuisines. One thing that brings us all together is how we mess up the English language. And hey, that's cute. That's a good thing, right? So the first mistake, very common, is using the continuous tense with a stative verb. Now, verbs are not just actions, right? We have verbs that tell us the state of being of the subject. You know, I love this. I hate that. I enjoy this, right? I have this, as in I possess, own something, right? All of these are stative verbs. And we generally, except for very specific contexts, just remember that we do not use continuous tense with stative verbs. So we cannot say, I am having a car. What are you going to say? I have a car. Do you ever say, I am loving you? No, you just say, I love you, right? So these are, this is something that we need to always look out for. No continuous tense with state of being verbs, okay? Next thing, not adding our cute little article. What are articles? A and the, okay? So when we start having regular sessions that are purely academic, we're going to take a look at all of this in detail. This is just a brief overview that I'm giving you so that you can keep it at the back of your head. So here, articles A and the. I went to market. And I went to the market, right? So just making sure we always add our article there. Don't eat those up. Another very common error, whenever we have do, does, or did, these are all forms of do. As a helping verb, we always use the base form of the verb after it. Might sound confusing, but once I give you an example, it'll make sense. So if I say, I didn't thought that, or I didn't knew that. What is the mistake that I'm making? I am using the past tense form of think and know after a form of do. Okay? Now, did over here already tells us that the sentence is in the past tense, right? So we don't use the past tense form of the main verb after this. How do we say this? I didn't think that, or I didn't know that. And this applies to all forms of do regardless of the tense they are in. I do think that. I do know that. Okay? He does think that, or he does know that. Applies to all tenses. Okay? Next thing, wrong preposition. Now see, the thing with prepositions is that their use is idiomatic, which means that there are no set of rules that you can just memorize and then know which preposition to use when. The only way you can really know which preposition to use when is if you familiarize yourself with the English language. The more you listen to people talking in English, you're just automatically going to know which preposition comes where. So the kind of mistakes that we Indians make with these prepositions is, for example, he is married with her. We're not supposed to use with here. We're supposed to use to. He is married to her. Okay? Or let's see. Let's discuss about the issue. You don't discuss about an issue. You simply discuss the issue. All right? So just very small mistakes like these. For example, another one that's very common. He is good in math. He's not good in math. He is good at math. Okay? So how are we going to do this? We're not going to sit and memorize when to use which preposition, because that's impossible to do. This is going to automatically happen for you when you start listening to content in English, podcasts, news, stuff like that, and even reading for that matter. The more you expose yourself to the English language, this is not going to be an issue anymore. Okay? All right, the next thing is weirdly Indian phrases and sentences. We tend to use these a lot while talking. And let me tell you, only people in the subcontinent understand these sentences. Nobody else ever uses these, okay? Passing out of college, very common. We use this all the time. But the thing is, passing out is American way of saying to faint, okay? Or fainting. So to pass out means to faint, to lose consciousness. So instead of saying passing out of college, simply say graduating, right? Revert back. Nobody says this, okay? Revert is just to come back to the initial position or the way something initially was. It doesn't mean reply, but we use revert back, and which is also redundant, by the way, because if revert automatically means getting back to you, then why do we have to use the word back with it again, right? So no one uses revert in this context except for us folks. And instead of revert back, we can just say, I'll reply or I'll get back to you, right? Get back to you. Let me get back to you. Okay, next is prepone the plan or meeting. So I think we just made this up because postpone is definitely a word. But instead of saying prepone, which is not a word, we can just say, now this has different pronunciations, reschedule or reschedule. Reschedule. All right, next is out of station. I think this has something to do with train stations because we primarily use trains to travel. So that's how this came into being. But instead of out of station, which nobody is going to understand, you can just say out of town. And then the classic, myself, Asmita. I love it. It's so cute, but no one's gonna understand this, right? So just say I am Asmita or I'm Asmita. Using contractions always make you sound more like a native speaker. So just a pro tip, always use contractions when you can. Now, cousin, sister, cousin, brother, no, only cousin, okay? That's enough. We don't have to specify their gender. Next, what's your good name? I think this also comes from the fact that we tend to have a name we use for school and official purposes, and then we have a pet name, ghar ka naam, that we usually say. So I think that's where this comes from, but nobody anywhere else in the world is going to get what good name means. So just what's your name, okay? Time pass. One of my favorite Indian English words, but no one's going to understand this. So let's forget it till the time we have our IELTS test. Instead of saying time pass, just pass the time works, right? I read books for time pass. I read books to pass the time or pass my time. Okay, I will intimate you. What people generally are trying to say when they say this sentences, I will let you know, right? So just say that instead. I will let you know, because I will intimate you really doesn't mean anything. Intimate just means getting very close with somebody. Okay, and then there is no foundation. I've been hearing this word a lot around me in recent times. Okay, the word foundation is not a real word, but it absolutely should be a real word because it makes total sense. You get what they're trying to say, right? There's no foundation means there's no obligation, there's nothing uh, that's acting like a boundary around you. There's nothing that you're bound by. Okay, so that makes total sense. I like this word, but it's not a real word in English. So there's no restriction, there's no obligation, you know, whatever you're trying to say, use these words instead. Okay, so these were our weirdly Indian phrases. There are many more and we'll discuss them later, right? But and these are cute. I absolutely love them, but they're not going to work for the IELTS test, so let's forget about them for now. And lastly, your biggest problem is that you lack reliable resources. And what you do is you end up going to like 10 different websites, reading 50 different things, going to like 20 different YouTube channels, and then you're just left utterly confused because you get a lot of sometimes conflicting advice, right? So I have a solution for you for this. Number one, if you want to improve your vocabulary, if you just want a good set of words that can help you express yourself better, instead of random Google searches or random word lists, here's something that you can use. Just go to eapfoundation.com. This is English for academic purpose, and here you'll find amazing resources. In fact, if you go to this website and click on the vocab section, you're going to find a specific list of words for specifically for IELTS. Okay, so you can take a look at those words that are divided based on their genre or category. So it's going to be very easy for you to navigate, and you also have the academic word list that you can look at, the AWL. It's a very good resource for you to improve your vocabulary. The next thing is if you want to know anything related to IELTS, if you want to take mock tests, if you want to figure out a specific detail, if you're confused about something, the only resource that you're going to trust blindly is the IELTS.org website. Okay? Apart from this, if you're looking for mock tests, if you're looking for tips and tricks, if you're looking for free material, just remember IELTS plus Cambridge, British Council or IDP, right? Look up, just make sure it's Cambridge IELTS, British Council IELTS, or IDP IELTS. So because these are your three organizations that actually make the test, okay? And IDP is responsible for testing Indian students. So make sure whatever you're looking at is either from Cambridge, British Council, or IDP. Easiest thing you can do is just simply go to ielts.org. And the last thing is find somebody, find a mentor who you get, that you feel comfortable with, who takes care of things that you are concerned about, and just stick to them, right? You don't have to go all over the internet trying to take or extract the best out of everybody. That's not going to work. That's just going to overwhelm you. So just stick with whoever you think is really helping you, is getting through to you, and just be comfortable there, right? Don't just move around too much. You're just going to overwhelm yourself, right? So these were my tips and tricks. And apart from this, there are many other things that you're concerned about, obviously. It's not just the IELTS, it's everything, your application process, the university criteria that you need to meet, visa issues, whatever it is. You can get good expert counseling for all of those issues. All you have to do is find that counseling form link in the description, fill it out, and just give your worries to someone else. You know, there's already too much to worry about. Why do you want so much on your plate, right? Just make your life easier. And speaking of making our life easier, don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you get regular updates, and follow us on Telegram so you don't miss out on any of your amazing sessions. Okay, and share this video with your friends if you found this helpful, and stay tuned for many, many more. Take care. I will see you again next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.